I'm Charlie. I'm here representing smartmicro UK. So we are the UK subsidiary of smartmicro GmbH. We are a manufacturer of radar detection technology.
So what are you showing on the stand this year?
So we're really excited to represent our ComHub relay unit now. We've finally finished our UK testing of this product, so we've been out on some intersections down in the south of the UK. Had really good positive feedback from it. And what this does, this product takes our multi-sensors, so all of our radar sensors on a junction, and integrates them together to allow our sensor-to-sensor tracking, so what we call our seamless tracking. So that takes what originally was quite a selfish product, so the radar looking at one part of an intersection and saying, yes, I see traffic, no, I don't. And it joins them together in this one system. So we take our raw data, fire it across to this ComHub, and that produces our tracks now. So it produces all of our tracks from opposing sensors, and it says, okay, we have an object on this approach. As it travels through the intersection, it can then hand the object over to another sensor and allow it to be seen as it exits from the other part of the intersection. What this allows us to do is bring things like turning movement counts and additional data into our collection system being presented to the customer.
So what does that actually mean for somebody working in a traffic control room or somebody planning a network in a town or city?
Absolutely. So what we're doing is we're giving that more granular data that we're receiving feedback from our customers that, you know, this is the way the industry is going. We're looking to try and receive that per vehicle data, so we understand exactly what the movements are and how they're being acted out at the intersections. And this allows us to look at things like, you know, can we increase our facility of active travel provisions on a junction? So we know that, for example, we have 300-400 vehicles turning right, or 300-400 bicycles turning right at this intersection in the morning peak, and we have the same coming backwards in an evening peak. Well, that data set can then be used by the local authority to try and make more advanced decisions when it comes to, okay, where do I spend my active travel budget, and how do I potentially bring improvements to this junction that would allow better movement for bicycles or large HGVs, or, you know, whatever type of vehicle that is particularly being targeted at that time and within that specific fund, to be better represented when making these decisions.
So it's quite interesting, the fact that it's not just gathering data, it's actually then interpreting the data and giving information to the user.
Absolutely, and to the traffic signal controller. So what we can also do with this product is we can then specify our detections, as loops would have done previously. We can specify detections into the traffic signal controller based on some external factors. So, for example, you know, if I said to you, we have a lot of lorry movements, and we want to know now if a lorry is only doing, say, sort of under 10 kilometers an hour in this lane, but we've got a green light, so we don't want that lorry to get gapped out, for example, we can give you a detection that says, I only want to know when there's a lorry travelling at less than 10 kilometers an hour. Thus, we allow an extension to the green time to give that lorry the chance to get through and not end up sat at the traffic lights or at the signals causing more delays. You know, so we've actually got that real actionable data that not only gives it in a representative form that can be used for decision making, but also actionable intelligence on the ground at the time.
And what does it mean for replacing the old loop detection that we have? Can the two products work hand in hand in a network, or would you have to rip out the old and put in the new?
That's a really good question. So there is obviously a lot of conversation at the moment around how local authorities utilise their budget, okay, and what do we do with the existing loop infrastructure that's in place. The beauty of above ground detection is that it doesn't necessarily need to be a one or the other solution, right? So what we can do is we can bring our product online And we quite often have this in some scenarios where we bring our product online initially and we are there to cover, say, one loop. But we have the facility to cover the rest of the junction as and when those come into either maintenance or the loop eventually degrades. We can just quite simply switch our detecting on and switch that input over from the existing loop to ours. So actually, when it comes to it, the two products do work very, very well hand in hand. And actually, there are some scenarios where radar isn't maybe the be-all and end-all solution. So, maybe there needs to be a different detector above ground. So maybe that's a video-based product or a magnetometer or whatever it might be. We can use that product harmoniously with ours to give that overall coverage of the intersection.
And basically what you're doing is putting a computer on the side of the road. Now when I buy a new computer, even though I have great plans that it's going to last me years and years and years, it may last 3 years, may if I'm lucky last 4, and I have to replace it. Once you've put one of your detectors on the road, how long can you leave it there before it needs to be replaced?
So our radar detectors are designed to last for many, many years. We've had them installed now for well over 10 years in the UK, and I'm happy to say are still running without hiccup. Quite obviously, we get scenarios such as road traffic collisions that we need to replace them with, but on the whole, they are a fit and forget system. With our ComHub unit now, what we've also brought in, so the difficulty has always then been, well, how do we ensure that the customer maintains that latest and greatest in form of technology on board of their sensor? Well, you have to have an engineer go out to site, they have to plug their laptop in or connect to the radar, then upload a new firmware, etc., etc. What our ComHub unit does now is it brings into play over-the-air transfer of data. So what that means for us as a manufacturer is our guys working in Germany on the software who are constantly looking at updating our tracking, making sure that we've got the best that we can do for tracking, for object separation. All of those new and interesting updates as they come out from our German engineering team, we can fire those updates over the air to the ComHub and update the sensors on the street by either cellular or by fibre connection that's hosted obviously by the local authority. So that ability, much like now your car will over the air update as it's sat on your driveway at home, we're looking to do the same thing with our sensor technology. So over the air updates for us, again, is a real big positive on the ComHub unit.